Okay, so today we're tackling a deep dive to help anyone preparing for a furniture, carpets, and lighting equipment distribution manager interview.
Wow, that's a mouthful. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting role when you think about all the moving parts.
Definitely. And there's some pretty standard interview questions that come up. Luckily, RoleCatcher has a bunch of resources about this job.
Yeah, they have sample interview questions and even career guides.
Exactly. So let's jump into the first question from the RoleCatcher guide. Can you walk me through your experience in managing a distribution team? Seems pretty basic at first glance.
Oh, absolutely. But the interviewer is trying to figure out a few things with this question.
Okay, like what?
Like what your leadership style is all about. Do you know how to motivate a team? How do you smooth over conflict? Are you someone who can make sure everybody's working together, to reach that common goal?
So it's less about what you've done and more about how you've done it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So
Uh,
then how should someone approach this question?
I would say think about a few examples from past roles where you've really shown strong leadership.
Okay, so like maybe a time when you put a new process in place and it really boosted efficiency.
Right. Or maybe you mentored someone who just soared,
Yeah.
went above and beyond what was expected.
So concrete examples are key here. What about stuff to avoid saying?
Don't be too vague. Like just saying, oh, I'm a great leader isn't going to cut it.
Definitely got to back it up.
Yeah, use those specific examples we talked about. And if you can put some numbers to your achievements, that's even better.
Oh, you mean like saying, I boosted team morale by 15% instead of just saying, I boosted team morale?
Exactly. Numbers have a bigger impact. They're more convincing.
True. Okay, so RoleCatcher actually gives a sample response to this question. They suggest starting with something like, in my previous role as blank, I managed a team of blank distribution associates who were responsible for blank.
Yeah, and that's where you can plug in your own experience.
Fill in the blanks.
Right. That's actually where RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful.
Oh yeah, I've heard their AI is pretty impressive.
It really is. What it does is it analyzes all of your experience and then gives you suggestions on how to tailor your answer, so it fits the specific job you're going for.
Pretty cool stuff. Okay, so I bet this question is often followed by another common one. Can you tell me about a time you faced a challenge while managing your team?
Yep, it's almost guaranteed. How did you handle it?
The dreaded behavioral question.
Ah, I know, right? Everyone's favorite. But honestly, they give you a great chance to show off your problem-solving skills.
Okay, so what kind of situation should you talk about?
Think of a tough situation, like if a shipment was delayed. Or maybe if demand suddenly skyrocketed unexpectedly.
Makes sense. And then what?
Explain what you did, like how you sized up the situation, took charge, and, guided your team to a good outcome.
So basically, you need to be ready to tell a story that shows you can think on your feet and you don't crack under pressure.
Exactly. The interviewer wants to see that you can take initiative and think critically and lead your team through tough times. They don't just want someone who follows instructions.
Got it. Prep is key. Our next question on RoleCatcher's list is, how do you ensure the quality of the products being distributed? I bet this is really important in the furniture biz where damaged goods are a huge deal.
Oh, for sure. The interviewer wants to see that you get how crucial quality control is, and that you're proactive about making sure those sofas and carpets and light fixtures arrive in perfect condition.
So they don't want someone who just reacts to problems. They want someone who prevents them in the first place.
Right. So how would you show that you're proactive?
Well, you could talk about implementing quality checks at different points in the process. From when the shipment first comes in all the way to final delivery.
I like that. Give me an example.
So for instance, you could say that you thoroughly inspect incoming shipments, to make sure the products are up to standard.
Perfect. Or you could say that you've put a system in place to track damages, so you can see if there's a pattern and then prevent it from happening again.
It's all about being meticulous and having a system.
Yeah. And this is a good opportunity to show off any experience you have with furniture, carpets, and lighting. Like if you know about common quality issues with those products and how to deal with them.
Okay, so let's say you know that a certain fabric tends to snag easily.
Right. So maybe you'd use special handling techniques or packaging to protect it.
Got it. Or, some light fixtures are super fragile, so you create a special protocol for packing and transporting them.
Exactly. The more you can prove that you understand the products and the challenges, the better.
Yeah, it shows them you're not just a manager, you're a specialist.
Right. RoleCatcher actually suggests a sample response that starts with, I believe in a multi-layered approach to quality control.
Okay, and then you'd explain the specific checks and balances you'd put in place.
And Don't forget about technology. You can mention using barcode scanning to track inventory or even digital photography to document any damages.
So show them you're tech savvy too. Okay, what about pitfalls to avoid with this question?
The biggest one is seeming like you don't know the industry. Like, don't just say, I'd make sure everything's in good shape. You need to show you understand the potential issues and how to actually prevent them.
Yeah, generic answers won't cut it. All right, question number 3. How do you keep up with industry trends and changes? This seems especially important in a field like furniture, where trends are always changing.
Definitely. This question is about showing that you're proactive about learning and that you can adapt to a changing market.
So how do you convince them that you're not just keeping up, but actively looking for new information?
Talk about the resources you use to stay informed.
You mean like specific publications or websites?
Yeah. Like, do you read industry magazines? Do you go to trade shows or conferences?
Okay.
Do you follow influencers on social media?
You could say you go to High Point Market, which is a huge furniture trade show.
Exactly. Or that you subscribe to Architectural Digest to stay on top of the latest design trends.
Okay, I get it. And don't just list the sources, but explain how you use them.
Right. So do you take notes, share interesting articles with your team?
Yeah, do you actually apply what you learn to make decisions?
Exactly. They want to know if you're actually applying the knowledge.
RoleCatcher's sample answer for this one is, I believe in continuous learning and make it a priority to stay ahead of the curve.
Nice. And then you'd explain your specific learning methods, like how you've used them in the past.
So it's not just about reading magazines, it's about showing that you're actually interested in the industry
Yeah,
and that you're always curious and learning new things.
absolutely. Okay, on to question number 4. How do you manage inventory and ensure adequate stock levels? This one seems like a tough balancing act.
Yeah, it definitely is. You need to have enough to meet demand, but not too much that you're just sitting on a ton of extra inventory. So how do you show them that you can walk that fine line?
Let them know that you're familiar with different inventory management systems, both the old school ones and the digital ones.
Oh, you mean like specialized software?
Mm.
Do they want to know if you understand things like just-in-time inventory or reorder points?
Totally. It's also a good chance to highlight your analytical skills. Being able to analyze sales data and predict seasonal changes and adjust your orders accordingly.
Okay, so those analytical skills come into play here.
Yeah, you can also talk about your experience with warehouse organization, how you'd optimize space for maximum efficiency. A well-organized warehouse makes a huge difference in inventory management.
Yeah, a messy warehouse is a disaster waiting to happen.
So true. RoleCatcher suggests an answer like, I utilize a combination of data analysis and industry best practices to ensure optimal stock levels.
And then you'd explain your approach in detail.
Right. Mention any successful initiatives you've led, like if you reduced stockouts or implemented a better inventory tracking system.
Okay, so be prepared to share those success stories. And I bet they'll also ask about specific challenges you faced.
Oh, yeah. Like a time when you had to decide whether to order extra stock in case demand surged or hold back and risk running out. They want to see how you think strategically.
Okay, so be ready to talk about how you weigh the risks and make those tough calls.
Exactly. And it's super important to be able to explain your thought process clearly.
Got it. So we've covered leadership, quality control, staying ahead of trends, and inventory management.
That's a good chunk of what they'll ask about.
Definitely a good start. Let's take a break and come back in part 2 to tackle some more of these insightful questions.
Sounds good. All right, welcome back. We're still deep in prep mode, getting you ready for that furniture, carpets, and lighting equipment distribution manager interview.
Breaking down all those tricky questions, helping you really stand out from the other candidate.
Exactly. So let's jump right into question number 5 from RoleCatcher's Guide. How do you measure the success of your distribution team?
Okay. I feel like there's more to this than meets the eye.
Right. It's not just about moving furniture from point A to point B. It's about doing it efficiently, strategically, and keeping those customers happy.
So what are some good metrics to mention?
Think about KPIs, those key performance indicators. They're those measurable values that show how well a company is doing.
Oh, right.
In this case, you could talk about on-time delivery rates, order accuracy, shipping costs, inventory turnover.
And of course, customer feedback.
Yes. Happy customers are everything.
RoleCatcher suggests starting your answer like this. I believe in setting clear, measurable goals for my team and tracking our progress against those goals.
That's a great opening. Then you can list the specific KPIs you'd focus on and how you'd use that data to keep improving.
I like it. And you could even talk about using data visualization tools,
Yeah.
to make those KPIs super clear for everyone.
Oh, yeah, great idea. Like showing a graph with those on-time deliveries steadily increasing, or maybe how you drastically cut shipping costs. Boom.
Now that's impressive. It shows you know how to use data to make good decisions.
Exactly. Now, for follow-up questions, they might ask you to describe a time when you used data to spot a problem in the distribution process.
And how you fixed it, right?
Yep. Be ready with the specific example, one that really shows off your analytical skills.
Gotcha. Okay, question number 6. How do you manage relationships with suppliers and manufacturers? I'm noticing a theme here. Collaboration is super important in this role.
It really is. This question is all about those people skills, your ability to build those win-win partnerships.
Right, because a distribution manager isn't working solo. You're always interacting with suppliers, manufacturers, transportation companies, your own internal teams. It's a lot of people to keep happy.
So it's not just about placing orders and hoping for the best. It's about building those relationships and working together.
So what are some good examples to share?
Think about how you've built strong supplier relationships in the past. Did you negotiate a great contract that benefited both sides? Did you go the extra mile to help a supplier out? Did you keep everyone in the loop about potential delays? Those kinds of things.
Those little things that show you're not just going through the motions.
Yeah.
You actually care.
Right. Now remember, conflicts happen. Be prepared to talk about a time when you had to resolve a conflict with a supplier.
Okay, so how did you handle that? How did you find a solution that everyone could agree on?
Those are the kinds of things they want to hear.
RoleCatcher suggests a response that starts with, I believe in open communication and transparency when working with suppliers.
I like that. And then you'd give specific examples of how you've done that in your previous roles.
And don't forget to highlight that you can build rapport and trust.
Absolutely. People will bend over backwards for someone they like and trust.
True that. All right, on to question number 7. How do you ensure compliance with regulatory requirements? This sounds a little more technical.
It is. But it's also a chance to show them that you pay attention to details, you're ethical, and you understand those legal and regulatory hoops.
So is this just about safety in the warehouse?
It's way bigger than that.
Okay, like what?
Think about safety regs for handling and storing furniture, environmental rules for getting rid of packaging, labor laws, import-export regulations, anything specific to the industry. It's a lot.
Wow, that's a lot to keep straight. How do you show them you're on top of it all?
Well, first you got to show them that you get how important compliance is.
Okay.
If you've managed regulatory compliance before, talk about that. If not, emphasize that you're a quick learner and that you're organized. Highlight how you track deadlines, keep good records, and make sure everyone's following the rules.
So it's about being organized, proactive, and having systems in place.
Exactly. What kind of examples could you give?
You could talk about creating a training program for your team
Yeah.
so everyone knows the rules and what they're responsible for. Or you could mention using checklists or digital tools to keep track of all the compliance tasks.
Right. Or maybe you've done internal audits to find any areas where things aren't quite up to snuff.
Okay, so be ready with those real-world examples.
Yeah.
What about follow-up questions?
They might ask you to describe a time when you had to deal with a compliance issue. How did you figure out what was wrong? What steps did you take to fix it? What did you learn? That kind of stuff.
So be ready to tell a story that shows you handle those tough situations with grace and that you do the right thing.
Exactly. RoleCatcher suggests an answer like, I take regulatory compliance very seriously and believe in proactive measures to ensure we meet all requirements.
Sounds good. And then you'd get into the specifics of your approach.
Right. And it's okay to show them that you're human.
What do you mean?
Like, don't be afraid to say that you'd ask for help if you needed it. It shows that you're humble and that you really care about doing things the right way.
Nobody expects you to know everything, but they do expect you to be responsible and know how to find the answers. All right, question number 8. How do you manage logistics and transportation for distribution operations? This sounds like a giant puzzle.
It is. And it's a huge part of the job. You've got to coordinate with trucking companies, manage delivery schedules, track shipments, find the best routes, deal with delays, and keep costs down. It's a lot.
So what are they looking for in terms of skills?
Organization is key, being detail-oriented and thinking strategically. They also want to know if you've used transportation management systems and route optimization software.
And you got to know the industry best practices for handling furniture and carpets and all that.
Oh, yeah, because a damaged sofa or a late delivery is a big deal for the customer.
Totally. It's all about minimizing those risks and making sure everything flows smoothly.
Think about times when you've had to make those routes more efficient or negotiate with trucking companies or use new technology to improve things. Be ready to share those success stories.
Got it. And I bet they'll have some follow-up questions about specific challenges you faced,
For sure, they might ask you about a major logistics nightmare.
like a weather delay or truck breaking down.
Exactly. They want to see how you handle pressure, how you think on your feet.
So tell a story that shows you're resilient and a good problem solver.
Yep. RoleCatcher's sample answer for this one is, I believe in a data-driven approach to logistics management using technology and analytics to optimize routes, track shipments, and identify areas for improvement.
And then you'd go into detail about how you've done that in your previous roles.
Right. Show them that you're not just competent, but that you really geek out about logistics.
Because it's more than just moving stuff around. It's about creating a system that works. Okay, on to question number 9. How do you prioritize tasks and manage your time effectively? This one seems pretty basic.
It does. But for a distribution manager, time management is everything. You're juggling so many things at once.
Deadlines, priorities, unexpected issues, it never ends.
Right. You have to be organized, focused, and efficient. So how do you convince them that you're a time management pro?
I guess you tell them about your system.
Right. Do you use a planner, a to-do list app, project management software? Whatever you use, explain how you decide what to tackle first, how you delegate tasks, and how you stay on track when things get crazy.
Everyone has their own way of doing things. The important thing is to show them that you have a system that works.
And be specific. Give them an example of a time when you had to juggle a bunch of different priorities. How did you handle it? How did you make sure everything got done on time and to a high standard?
So tell a story that shows you can multitask like a champ.
RoleCatcher suggests a response like this. I prioritize my tasks based on urgency and impact, and I use a combination of tools and techniques to stay organized and on track.
And then you give specific examples.
And don't forget to mention that you can work both independently and as part of a team. A good distribution manager needs to be both a self-starter and a team player.
Right, because you're not just managing your own time, you're coordinating with a whole team. Okay, last question. Bring it on. How do you ensure customer satisfaction in the distribution process? This one seems like it should be obvious.
It does, but remember, happy customers are the key to any successful business, especially in this industry.
Because a smooth delivery can turn a one-time buyer into a loyal customer, but a bad one can really hurt a company's reputation.
Exactly. So how do you show them that you're all about the customer?
You could share examples of how you've gone above and beyond to make customers happy.
That's a good one. If you don't have specific examples, emphasize that you're committed to great service and you're willing to do whatever it takes.
And communication is key, right? Keeping those customers informed every step of the way.
Yes. You need to let them know about delivery timelines, handle any problems quickly, and get their feedback to improve things.
You could talk about setting up systems for tracking orders, sending automated delivery notifications, and offering different ways for customers to reach you for support.
Exactly. No one likes to be left wondering where their furniture is.
And those personal touches can go a long way.
Oh, yeah. A handwritten thank you note or a quick call to make sure everything arrived okay. Those little things make a big difference.
RoleCatcher gives a good sample response for this one. I believe that customer satisfaction is the cornerstone of a successful distribution operation, and I'm committed to building a team that prioritizes customer needs at every step of the process.
I like it. And then you could talk about specific strategies for doing that.
Remember, it's not just about fixing problems, it's about exceeding expectations.
Think about how you would go above and beyond to create a delivery experience that's so good they'll tell all their friends.
Now that's a good goal. We've gone through all 10 questions from RoleCatcher's guide, and I'm feeling way more prepared to tackle that interview.
Awesome, but there's still more to explore.
Oh, right, we still have more to cover.
In Part 3, we'll delve into some more insights from RoleCatcher's career guides. We'll talk about how their AI tools can give you a personalized advantage, and I'll leave you with some final thoughts as you get ready to crush that interview.
Okay, we're back. Ready to wrap up our deep dive on how to totally ace that furniture, carpets, and lighting equipment distribution manager interview.
You got it. We've covered those tricky interview questions, but now I want to zoom out a bit and talk about your career path in this field.
I'm all for that. I know RoleCatcher has some really great career guides that talk about that.
They're really helpful, and they don't just give you a list of job titles, they actually paint a picture of what each role is like day to day.
Yeah, they have those sample profiles, like
Yeah.
what someone in that role
Mhm.
actually does all day. It's like getting a glimpse into your future.
Totally. And they also talk about the skills you need at each stage.
So like starting out, you need to be super organized, pay attention to detail, and know your way around a computer.
Right. But then as you climb that ladder, you need stronger leadership skills, analytical skills, and communication skills become even more important.
It's like they give you a roadmap, showing you where you can go and what you need to learn to get there.
They even give you ideas for how to keep learning, like going to conferences, taking online courses, maybe getting some certifications.
Smart. This industry's always changing, so got to keep up with the times.
Right. Which brings us back to something we talked about earlier, RoleCatcher's AI.
Oh, yeah. Their AI is pretty amazing. It's not just for your resume, right?
Nope. It's like this superpower that can help you through the whole job search. So think about it. You upload a job description,
Okay.
their AI reads it, figures out what skills and experience the company's really looking for, and then it looks at your resume and tells you how to tweak it so it really highlights those things.
So it's like having a personal resume writer who knows exactly what companies are looking for.
Even better, it helps you with those tough interview questions we talked about.
Wait, really? How does that work?
You type in your answers,
Okay.
and the AI analyzes them and gives you feedback suggestions, all based on the specific job and company.
Wow. That's like having a mock interview without all the stress.
They even have this video practice thing where you record yourself answering questions, and then the AI gives you feedback on your delivery, body language, all of it.
No way. It's like having your own personal film crew dedicated to helping you nail that interview. Okay, so if you're serious about getting this job, RoleCatcher's AI is definitely something to check out.
For sure, it's that extra edge that can make all the difference.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground. We've broken down those key interview questions, talked about potential follow-ups, and even explored RoleCatcher's AI and career guides.
You're definitely armed and ready for that interview.
But before we go, I want to leave you with something to think about. We've talked about how the industry is changing, but with online shopping, virtual showrooms, even 3D printing on the rise, how do you think the role of a distribution manager will change in the future?
That's the million-dollar question. Being able to adapt and being open to new technology is going to be crucial.
For sure. Okay, that's it for today's deep dive. Best of luck with your interview.